We have another case. Do you think this person is referencing art or do you think they're actually tracing? Let's get into this. And before I get into it, 2 disclaimers. 1, please don't send hate to any parties involved. I say this every single video, but like, I still gotta say it. Secondly, apologies for the constantly shifting background. I'm currently in Kyoto. I was in Tokyo, so I'm moving hotels, which is why the room setup keeps changing. So yeah, but getting into this is posted on Twitter by user Sarah or Owns. And Sarah writes, as a big artist, I prefer to not make these kinds of public callouts and start drama. Please keep this in mind. However, after seeing how Friday's art constantly ignored and disrespected me, I've become tired. Since they opened their account, they've been tracing my art nonstop. And attached are some photos with examples. So in the center, we have Friday's artwork, and left and right, we have Sarah's artwork. And oh boy, it's looking a little similar. Here, maybe if you want to give benefit of doubt, you could be like, maybe Friday is referencing Sarah to an uncomfortable degree, but we could still maybe say it's referencing. But let's keep looking. And then we have these side-by-sides where the hands are also looking really similar. Maybe it's a reference? Oh, even more side-by-sides. And another one. And here it reads, not trace, but it's so heavily inspired that it could be considered plagiarism. And okay, this is what's just shocking to me, is that when you look at the art pieces side by side, it looks so similar. You would assume this was actually made by one person, with the color palette, the essence of the piece, the way the hair is rendered, the way the skin is rendered, the rendering style, the line art style. It's eerily similar. And there's always a debate of like, nobody owns an art style, this, that, and the third. Like, I can agree with this, but if it gets so close to where literally, if you take a look at these 2 pieces, you would assume the same person made it, we might have crossed some lines here. But here you can see it says same pomegranate. Look at that. Because why do the pomegranates overlap so similarly? But it goes even deeper than that, because Sarah says, please, I am not trying to send them hate. I just want to raise awareness since they actually profit from traced art, like commissions. I talked to them back in summer and they recognized they were at fault and apologized, even saying they loved my art style and admired me. Getting inspiration from another art style isn't wrong, even if they steal all of it. But tracing, that's a no-no. And so the conversation happened in what looks like Spanish, and the translation on the document reads, hello, I don't intend to cause any controversy or anything like that, but I just noticed that 3 of your illustrations reference my art and some parts are even traced. Understand that they might be referenced for you, but copying and tracing is wrong. I would ask that you remove the illustrations or give me credit in some way, since I directly reference my own art. As an artist, you know that there are many hours and a lot of effort behind each drawing. I don't allow my art to be copied or traced, much less profited from, so I would appreciate it if you didn't do it again. Thank you. And Friday responds, hi, they will be deleted. I apologize and I didn't want to cause any problems on social media. I was looking for a style and I know what I did wasn't the best way to find it. It won't happen again, and again, I apologize. I admire your work. They have been deleted except for one that's entirely mine. What a shame, and I apologize 1,000 times. And in the apologies, they seem really sincere, and Sarah liked their apologies as well. And this conversation happened July 2nd, 2025. And Sarah responds, hi, thank you for replying. I saw you deleted it from the other social platforms, and I appreciate that. I hope, as one artist to another, this doesn't happen again in the future. Not just with me, but with any other colleague. Ultimately, what motivates us both is the affection we feel for these 2 characters, and as you know, there are many hours of thought behind each drawing. How to convey the idea, the composition, the colors, etc. I don't mean to sound strict, I just want you to keep this in mind for next time. Tracing isn't acceptable. Thanks again, really, and have a good day. And Friday responds, I understand completely. It's not easy and it won't happen again. You can be sure of that. Have a good day too. So again, you can see in the responses Friday is giving, they are very, very adamant that this is like a genuine mistake, that they're not going to make it again, and that they apologize 1,000 times over. And this story would end here if that were the case. But Sarah adds, emphasis in the part they told me they weren't gonna do it again. These are just some examples of pieces they deleted months ago, yet they still continue to trace my art. Whenever people noticed it, they just blocked them and deleted the post. Rinse and repeat. Here we have 2 side-by-sides. The face is basically completely traced off of Sarah's artwork. More side-by-sides where, again, you can see like the neck and the body pose and the hand position, it's all completely traced. The head is just slightly turned in a mildly different direction. Hands that are traced, Here we have another side by side where, again, the entire piece from Sarah has been traced. Both the left and the right character, but just inserted with a different character from Heaven's Official Blessing instead. And Sarah adds, once again, it's okay to be inspired by the artist you love, but copying every detail, the texture, the line art, the coloring, and the artistic direction, it's very blatant and shows a lack of respect for me as an artist. I know these types of posts can be misrepresented on social media. I've tried thinking, proceeding, and acting as maturely as possible, asking them privately to stop, but to no alas. I'm just begging this person to stop copying me and profiting off of my hard work. And commenters are showing a lot of support for Sarah. Somebody says, this is terrible, and after speaking directly with you, the audacity. And Sarah says, yes. Another person says, Sarah, that's so disrespectful. I mean, at the end of the day, we all get inspired by other artists. There's no escaping that. But if you build your style on just one artist with their own distinct style and copy elements too, I don't know, you won't get anywhere with that. And Sarah says, yup, you're totally right. I mean, I also have my inspirations, but I've talked with others and it seems it's cyclic. They copy one artist until they make a public call out and they jump to another art style. It's crazy. And I gotta say on this, there's been a lot of AI tracers that I've covered on my channel, and they do the same thing where they will use like AI that's trained off of one artist, trace it until they get caught, and then they'll just swap to another artist and delete all of their old artwork so that it doesn't look like they've been tracing people before. Again, no one is saying you can't be inspired by any artist. That's not what Sarah's saying. That's not what I'm saying. But you're getting creepy, bro. You're like tracing Sarah's artwork. You've borrowed their art style to the point of it literally looking like it's drawn by the same person. Because again, the parts of the poses, the hands, the body has been traced as well. And that's when we get to the point where you've crossed a line. And it turns out this actually isn't this person's first time doing this. We have a quote retweet that says, more of that Friday's art / Fry's diary person. They've done this for a while, and I would not be shocked if they come back under a different handle and do it again. And here we have somebody called Satoru Pa or AU writing, okay, well, I try to say this nicely, but I guess people are not like that. This person is stealing, or at least very heavily referencing, Dem 111011 AM on Instagram's art without credit or permission. Please stop supporting somebody who's blatantly stealing art. Thanks. So this is Dem, the artist in question. Their art is beautiful. Here we have some JJK art, and this is Dem's work. Here we have some artwork from Fry. It doesn't fully line up though, so maybe benefit of doubt. Now, the original post has been deleted that Fry had made, but we also have another call out. This is from November 27, 2024, written by user IppleP, and they write, really didn't want to do this, but since they've hid my friend's reply and blocked me, even though I haven't said anything yet, Fry's diary is heavily referencing my art without credit. This is just one example, but there are multiple others, including one copied from a commission. And here we have a side-by-side. This is art that Fry made, and this is art from Ipple. And if you overlap it, it's one of those where it literally overlaps one-to-one. It's just tilted a little bit. And you can see the rendering style is also very, very reminiscent as well. And Ipple says, I'm always willing to give people the benefit of doubt, and I don't think it's a problem to trace a reference as a learning artist, but to do so heavily without credit is discourteous. Then to go and block me too does not look good on top of that. I'll delete this if they apologize and or delete and or credit, but like, I'm also a guy who draws for fun, and at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. But it still feels a little disheartening. And another person says, referencing to some extent can be fine, but the frame is the same, like, and flipping the pose on the side. I totally get being inspired by somebody's style, but that's taking lazily shortcuts rather than learning and practicing a style by referencing. And Ipple says, yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't have minded so much if they just mentioned or credited me, but blocking is something else. To end this all, they've privated their account, and again, don't send hate to them. That is not what this is about, okay? But Sarah adds, hi, I'm back. I'd like to thank everyone who helped and those who sent kind words to. I wish I could really express with words how thankful I am. This issue has been affecting me for a very long time, making me stop drawing for a while in fear of her tracing my art again. Hopefully this time she'll stop and will leave other artists alone too. This will be the last time I mention this, don't worry. And I think that's the saddest part at the end of the day, right? Because like, when it comes to people who like trace off of other individuals' artwork and stuff like that, it's very discouraging to the original artist, and it kills your motivation and makes you not want to create, because it feels like anything you create isn't genuinely going to belong to you because somebody else is coming along and stealing it, which sucks. So At the end of the day, please send love to the original artist. I'll have them linked down below. Being inspired is completely okay, but directly tracing stuff, ripping it frame by frame, not okay. And that's where we draw the line. I don't want you to take from this video like, oh, referencing isn't okay. No, it's okay. Just there's a line when it's referencing and there's a line that is crossed. And here, in my opinion, the line has been crossed. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below with respect. And if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Thank you for bearing with me as I'm traveling and my constant changing travel setup. I filmed a bunch of videos without makeup, so bear with me. My acne is quite bad. So if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources. I'm trying to get my Instagram to 100K. We're getting close. And yeah, I have a Twitch. I stream there 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch y'all there or in another video. Peace.